Abbas, thank you so much for taking time out. Welcome to Pakistan. Is this your first visit or have you come?
No, I have come to Pakistan many times. First time I came in 1988 with Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, and at that time Bibi Benazir Sahiba was the Prime Minister in Pakistan, and I stayed in this very Islamabad hotel at that time, and we had a wonderful meeting, and in fact we had resolved most of the issues, uh, especially the issue of Siachen, and he went back and went into elections. He decided that after winning the election, with more confidence, I'll be able to resolve most of the issues with Pakistan. But unfortunately, he lost. And within few months, Benazir also was removed from power. And what we thought at that time, that we will achieve peace, we will have a huge jump into the arena of prosperity and peace for the subcontinent, that did not happen. After that, I came in 2004 when I became a member of parliament. This was 2003, sorry. A member of parliament. This was the first parliamentary delegation from India. And we came here and we established India-Pakistan Forum of Parliamentarians, and I was the co-chairman with Narmala Deshpande. I was the co-chairman of this Forum of Parliamentarians. And Shari Rahman came with the delegation to India. And we went back and asked Prime Minister Bajpayee ji to open Wagha border, to start the Muzaffarabad road. I remember that people in Islamabad told me that if you are able to open Muzaffarabad road, it will in a huge way lead to normalization of relations between the two people. And I told the same to Bajpayee ji, and we were able to. So I've been coming time and again. My last visit to Islamabad was 5 years back, but I have been coming to Lahore. We come on 14th August every year with candles in our hand to celebrate Pakistan's independence and India's independence. Because I was myself born on 15th of August, so that is also my birthday. Yes.
I think we all want the subcontinent to progress, but there are a lot of issues. There's the issue of poverty, there is the issue of climate change, there's floods, the climatic catastrophes. In your opinion, first of all, I want you to identify what are the key challenges facing the Southeast Asian region right now?
South Asia biggest challenge is poverty. Second biggest challenge is illiteracy, lack of education, injustice, that is lack of rule of law. There are so many problems, I can go on and on. Health is again a major challenge. Our people, our women have to suffer more than animals do. So many women die in childbirth. Our child mortality in India is so huge, and Pakistan is worse than that. So we have to understand that even after 60 years of so-called independence, we cannot give freedom to our people. Freedom from poverty, freedom from illiteracy, freedom for injustice, freedom from oppression, then we have not achieved freedom. Whatever we may talk of partition, we may talk of Pakistan, great Islamic Republic, great Republic of India, we are nowhere any great. We are extremely poor nations, and we have to get out of these mental ghettos we are living in.
Now, how do you think that we can improve research and knowledge sharing between the two countries? Because the problems are the same. If you look at climate change, if you look at the floods and the droughts and the disasters, and the same geography, the same topography, how can we improve research and knowledge sharing in particular?
We can improve everything in a huge way. You don't need a visa to do that. Today the technology has reached a level where doctors sitting in Apollo Hospital in Delhi or Indian Medical Institute in Delhi can perform operations here in Islamabad or Faisalabad. They can provide medicines. We can share, say, on the question of fertilizers, seeds. The problems of the peasants are the same in this side of Punjab or that side of Punjab. The water level going down, the overuse of fertilizers, the environmental issues, every issue, education. We can have a conference on education. People sitting in India, people sitting in Pakistan can be there say, we can have a video conference. Today you can do it in a huge way. So we have to use technology. If our governments, if our establishment does not allow us to come together, then we can use technology and for improving, as your question was, how can we share knowledge? For sharing knowledge, technology is the best way. In fact, we share knowledge even with a person sitting in the next room through our computers today, with our neighbor or our friends with computers. Today teachers send all my children get their homework from on the net, and they do most of the things on the net. So today technology has reached a level where distances have gone. So why don't we use it? Why do we have that old mindset where we are afraid of using the technology, and we are talking in terms of mil jaye, baith jaye, how many can sit? How many can meet? Even in your city of, say, Islamabad, how many of you sit down and meet? But you do it all time on the Facebook or other areas. You are able to exchange ideas. So ideas can be exchanged. There is no barrier today. Nobody, no government, no establishment can stop the ideas from traveling.
We talked about challenges, we talked about using technology, research, sharing, knowledge sharing. Another problem that the subcontinent is facing is the food security challenge.
Yes.
Because of the adverse climate effects, the
Yes.
food shortages, the agriculture cycle has
Yes.
been disturbed. How is India grappling with these effects?
Unfortunately, we talk a lot, but we don't do much. Same India, same in Pakistan. So India also we have not done much. We are facing huge food security issue, especially Punjab, which has been our granary. The food production is going down. The wheat production is going down. Same in your part of Punjab. We have to go for, and I've been saying it again and again, we have to go for a huge agriculture revolution. We need a new green revolution. We have to go for dry land farming. The water levels are going down and the population is increasing. Buying capacity is increasing. People are eating much more. So those who can afford it, they are eating. Those who cannot afford it, their condition is getting worse. So in India, 80% of the population is surviving on less than 20 rupees a day. So if that is the case, then how do we change the situation? So for that, major decisions have to be taken. For that, we have to get out of this syndrome of war, where we are spending so much on armaments. We have to spend on agriculture. We have to spend on power, electricity. Electricity is a huge problem. Energy is a huge problem on both sides. We have to have energy security, to have food security. And to have food security, we have to save environment. To save environment, we have to invest in different technologies. Clean coal technology, we have to invest in, say, in agriculture, we have to rely less on fertilizers, more on other technologies. Less water has to be used, say, what I said, dry land farming. I'm very concerned, very worried about it, but the problem is most of our politicians and establishment are only concerned about the next crisis. We are not concerned about this huge crisis which is looming large on our horizon.
Security, my last question will be the water crisis. How do you think India and Pakistan can improve the water relations?
Water, as I said, we are using the groundwater without thinking. We thought it's a easy way. We everywhere started putting these motors and taking out the groundwater and started wasting it. This huge wastage of water. Water is a huge problem. And let me tell you, many people tell me, why India is not sending our water? The problem is, in India, every city is suffering from huge water crisis. There are water battles between one state and the other. We are fighting like two enemies within India. So between India and Pakistan, Kashmir will not be the major crisis. Between India and Pakistan, the major crisis which is going to come in very soon is water. Unless we plan about it, we do something about it, we start planning in a big way now. But we have to make people aware that water is such an important commodity and we have to work for it. And for that, we have to rely more, we have to change our whole style of producing food, agriculture, water management has to be there, river management has to be there, all that has to be there, because water is what you have. You're not going to get some extra water from somewhere. But this has to be utilized. You have to go for hydroelectricity. You have to see, because between environment, you can't have, say, environmentalists oppose the dams. But you need the dams to produce electricity and to manage water. But how those dams can be less harmful to environment, so we have to work for those research and technologies. We have to go in a huge way. Okay, I think over.
Thank you so much. And if you just have a message for our viewers, just very quick message.
My message is, have faith in yourself and you will have faith in your neighbors. Unless you have confidence in Pakistan, you will not have confidence in India. You believe that you are a great country. You believe that you are a united country. And we want you to be united. We want Pakistan to progress. We want Pakistan to develop, because without your progress, without your integrity, without your unity, India cannot develop. India cannot be an island of development in a huge sea of underdevelopment. So if India has to develop, Pakistan, but if Pakistan has to develop, India also has to develop. You cannot disturb us. If you destabilize us and think you can develop, you cannot. So both have to work together, and both have to have confidence in each other, and both have to have faith in each other, that we have to forget about past bitterness. We have to build a future for the new generation, and my message is to the new generation of Pakistan, the youth of Pakistan: look, Pakistan is yours. Build it the way your Quaid-e-Azam dreamed. His dream was to have a prosperous Pakistan, not a Pakistan where every sect is fighting with every other sect in the name of religion, in the name of Suba or caste or other things. Fulfill the dream of Quaid-e-Azam, and we will fulfill the dream of Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi and Quaid-e-Azam never fought, never had any bitterness. We can work together. We will inshallah work together. Thank you very much. Okay.